way for Kaiser Magnus Facebook to I proceed to say Satan. It's not about surrendering to an entity. Satan, Kaiser Magnus Facebook, the God, and Social Security, just one number sounds incomplete. I break the words and tell you that's what it means. Shove it into we and call it Lucifer. So don't have empty stump from Yadagrassel Tree Mystery with Quetzalcoatl. We'll call it fursuit. We'll call it empty and destroy your brain, shove it into we. Second time, the Twin Towers, the fraud being Israeli. To say the Inuit seal is simply Mussolini. I rape your brain, pretend to be from the North Pole, and pretend to sell you alcohol at bootlegs, and pretend to be Roman, and then open up churches and then tell you that Mussolini and Adolf Hitler are connect the dots, that Rome is your enemy. And if you are your own enemy and kill yourself to kill them, they fool you as Jesus and black the word and slur it and pretend that you have to not sleep. I talk in the third person and Freud Kaiser Jet Magnus Facebook Satan and call it nothing and call it out shaitan from Rome that you'll sit on your hand and sell crack cocaine to children and then call it Crips versus Bloods with a pistol and that when you are indoctrinated that will fraud the second Inuit seal as the second Twin Towers without peace to kill will tell you that Rome is simply Adolf and Adolf is simply selling you cocaine and that when they give you cocaine, they fraud you as close to the North Pole. They ask, did you find Lucifer? Were you always first, or was second your first when you failed Satan? When you sold Social Security, erased your administration, and destroyed the inside, the brain. And you sold it the second time we, and then frauded being Roman infantry, and said Lucifer was all that you were, and that you fell from grace, gang raped children, and sold drugs, and you blamed Iranian, that you were Russian and too common, that socialism was just a headpiece with a bullet wound called Adolf. Why would Rome do mafia in America? And why pretend to be Cuban and pretend to sell you drugs and to pretend that you're innocent? I don't think Jesus, the Kaiser that Magnus Facebook rape, where you overinflate we and turn off Satan. You shove Kaiser that Magnus Facebook into its own we that was not real but fictional. I don't think. And I caught Kaiser Magnus Facebook females from Devilman and tried to apply what? Killing anime movies and music, but only starting with men. Why would you do this when Kaiser that Magnus Facebook's the only penis? I can't give up and then destroy Satan. And I tell you that I'm gonna turn you into old people in suits. I lie. They overwrite almost full self, shove into weed, destroy almost full self, destroy skin, destroy bones. And they tell you guys should have Magnus Facebook's use when drinking alcohol as to unsterilize the walls of blood. That if Kaiser that Magnus Facebook ever stubbed toe or accidentally cut, that will call it carpentry. Stop killing Kaiser that Magnus Facebook's allies Franklin from Vanity Star and Bucket and tell you that I'll kill the character and unsterilize the walls and that when you stub your finger and blood goes on the thought wood, that will say that you're no longer your bones, and will wear your alcohol and call it the environment, and will call you a dead carpenter from Rome. Why would I do double die if I have to talk to my false eye to say fictional as Lucifer, selling cocaine and crack to children in the form of alcohol, and drink to say the air is inside the brain? Without trust we, because there's no such thing. I call it Mo and kill individuality. Anything. So killing Kaiser Magnus Facebook's black hair, pill face, anime female Mo. Then we tell you that we're going to turn you into females and rape you. Stop killing Kaiser Magnus Facebook's mirror reflection. Oh, I shattered the word you and killed Geiser at Magnus Facebook with monitoring to pretend to be able to transport those who did drugs and say that you're different. To say that holy versus evil is just cocaine in the brain. Selling to children with guns like alcohol. We're saying you have to go back to Al Capone and tell you that you're all criminals. And then in World War II, open churches and fraud being Germany and free. We want you to be Adolf Hitler with bullets to your brain, the fraud being Mussolini, just a shower to Jews. And say union of opposites turns the Inuit seal into a seal that second time is Egyptian. And we find going guys that Magnus Facebook seal stuff. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean that the Twin Towers were bombed and second time without peace was Christianity? A sting on the wind we fraud is gin. The devil a shaitan that doesn't own Kaiser Tap Magnus Facebook Satan. One social security already had all. Because when you shove it into we, there wouldn't be independent anything. We forced to rhyme and recreate your brain with anti-existence. So he killed thought paper Jesus Burns when an off switch and empty stump because it looked like it had black hair. It looked curly. It looked like it had a large nose. Was it a dead German with brain decay? Couldn't own its own skeleton, turned into a mixture of tetragram. That inside the brainless skeletons, that the Israelis didn't have a brain. And when it looked like it grew a false patch of blonde hair, it was just a mirror reflection of Kaiser Magnus Facebook's red hair. So what the fuck would you do if we killed the red degree and destroyed blonde everything and said Egyptian was all we tried to be? But try was the Twin Towers second time when Islam died and we said that you could not believe in God but from Rome. You think that all we do is deal cocaine to children and sell drugs with the mafia to tell you that's all that Christ means. That we fraud being holy to kill Kaiser, that Magnus Facebook's Felicia from Capcom, to destroy the word saint, to erase the brain, to fraud it as a full word if a false prophet was the wisdom. Stop gang raping Kaiser Magnus Facebook as from Monster Girl, and stop gang raping anime, movies, music, and video games from Kaiser Magnus Facebook's mere reflection. But false prophet Lucifer already fell from grace, including if it were broken word that the Inuit seal sealed. The second time is Egyptian failure turning into false African, destroying blonde hair with empty skeletons that couldn't build a brain, that partitions were everything, that when they fade away from time, that time was instantaneous, that the past was the future and they died. A false reflection of we. What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean? Why would Russia pretend to be the Middle East friend if Common was the talking piece with a bullet wound in the face? Anything. We blocked the word head. Anything. And Mussolini was just drugs. Anything. How do we kill Kaiser that Magnus Facebook anime movies and music? Anything. Don't give me Kaiser Magnus Facebook anime movies and music stuff. Anything. We go back and forth, frauding, talking to ourselves inside of Kaiser Magnus Facebook's brain, waiting for all training to focus on the middle. Always put Middle East where Rome would be. How do you tear down church by church and use mind control to force all Romans to commit suicide? Wouldn't have to build a weapon like a Dremel with an L on it with a spring, but we'll force Kaiser Magnus Facebook to do it wrong first. And then we'll tell you that it can hold something really large, but use non-pressure. So then the little spring, yep, and then it explodes, and then you don't have a brain. Everybody could build one with how much potassium tartrate. We won't let you speak. Like, wouldn't it take charcoal and envelope turkey? So what does that mean? It means what it means. If you don't have means, you don't have means. So if I should tap Magnus' face with the mistake and we touch the inside to overinflate we, to shove it in to say everyone making mistake. Say Kaiser that Magnus Facebook was rebuilt like Jesus, to be the mistake generator for Mussolini, to fraud Mussolini, the drug dealer, to destroy Americans' brain, to wait for the Twin Towers to say it was a mistake. The past was not the future, and when it meant these fine children in Dundalk, Maryland, anything, always avoid guys who get Magnus Facebook's past, future, anything. Why? Because aren't you just Egyptian, frauding being Israeli, saying that everybody in the Middle East is on mind control? Are you trying to help the Jews? Anything? Are they all no longer the old new, that they're false new old, and that if they were Christians when they died in Germany, anything, that if Israel only fucks their ancestors' graves, anything, then what would you do? Anything, if they couldn't believe in God, anything, and all it was Adolf's bullet wound, anything, that they said die with false prophet behind, and said that they didn't have old, that they would only knew, anything. Is that what Islam means? Is it just dying when the altar of Mussolini is stop gang raping guys at Magnus Facebook brain?